And we are back. Welcome back, dweebs. We are talking Jordan Peele movies. I almost said Jordan Poole movies. I do an NBA show, guys. You got to forgive me. Get my wires crossed sometimes. And the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, among some other things. But first, how are you guys doing?
Would you like to go first?
Yeah, I did it. That was a bad lead. Bad, Kevin.
I'm gigantic. I can't breathe. Everything hurts. Oh,
I'm sorry.
I'm ready to have my body back to myself, but 11 more weeks. Other than that, though, I'm fucking fantastic.
Yeah, I'm sorry, baby.
No, sorry, I'm just being a whiny bitch.
No,
yeah, but still,
not at all.
That doesn't mean I shouldn't appreciate the sacrifice you're making for our family.
Oh, there it is.
No, I'm happy.
I feel much better this week.
Yeah.
As I can physically stand and walk around without wanting to cry in pain.
Yeah, that was rough.
That is, yeah. So for those of you who don't know, which would be all of you, because
why the fuck would they know this?
Yeah, exactly. Because I just started up our Twitter account again. Follow us on Twitter at dDweeb with 2 D's, as you already know, where I can actually notify the faithful listeners next time if that, we're not going to be able to record. But so we missed a couple of weeks. 1 week was my fault, and then the second time was no one's fault. It was an act of nature, which Lou had that back injury. So doctor said he needs a backiotomy.
He did. It was about midday Tuesday.
On a Tuesday.
I need the tale of this.
Oh, were you telling the tale of...
Triumphant tale of courage.
Okay.
I'm fighting back jokes. Please go.
And I was tasked with the incredulous assignment of going with my beloved to the baby doctor appointment.
Yep.
And as I valiantly, with great heroic courage of a man who knows nothing but action, extended to put on my pants, I threw my back out.
It wasn't funny in person, but it's funny in this retelling.
So, anime people who are nerds that watch the animes, I like to watch. It was like in a fucking anime. And yes, I do get paid by big anime to keep saying the word anime. It was like in one of those fucking shows when real significant damage happens to the character, and you have that flash of black and white for them, or lightning. Yeah, that's exactly what it was like. It was the most physical pain I have felt since my kidney stone. And comparable to my kidney stone.
Which I believe is saying a lot. I have not experienced that, but I have heard that it's one of the worst pains a man can feel. So we're glad to have you back after that heroic tale of, heroism, because I'm out of the I can't even get together a cogent simile for that.
Right. And I wish it was something fun. I was sliding into home to win the fucking game. I was literally doing almost anything else.
Saving a cat from a tree or a child from a fire.
Right. Yeah. Or a fire from a child.
Yeah. Or being a stuntman.
Yeah. But no.
Almost as good. Well, you made that sacrifice for your family, and before we dive into a movie that has a lot to do with family, we have a announcement from the big Hollywood world that a sequel is coming. And the Beetlejuice family is going to be extended with Winona Ryder's character, her daughter, being played by Jenna Ortega. So I have a couple of thoughts on this, but first I wanted to just see what the two of you thought about the casting in general. Kelsey, I'll lead with you. See, this time I remembered to call on one of you and not both of you at the same time. We're growing.
I really loved Beetlejuice. I grew up on it. Not so much like the cartoon or anything, but the actual movie. It was one of those I'd watch over and over and over again. And as long as they either keep Winona Ryder as Lydia and, just older, or make sure she's just like dead. Like she's dead. That's why she can't be here. Then I'm cool with it. Like, I'm really excited. I think Jenna Ortega is wonderful in her acting. I liked her in You. I haven't seen Wednesday, in all fairness, but I got a bit of a feel for her You, and I would definitely watch Wednesday if I could ever remember to put it on.
Yeah.
But I'm excited about it. What about you, babe?
I would have to say the same, except with the caveat being that, like, we definitely need to watch Wednesday.
Definitely.
With the show You being her first introduction of work to me. I think it's going to be fucking outstanding to see her be Wednesday, because she was very much that smart-ass brat younger sister in You.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Scream.
Right. Very, very differently strong character than Wednesday Addams.
And in Beetlejuice, I think she'd make a great daughter of Lydia.
Right.
Lydia was just impeccable. That's why we still quote her, and Hot Topic sells all her merchandise, and
Yeah. I think it's also, this is what we have, folks at home keeping track. This is our first bobblehead segment, which, for those of you who don't know what that means, it means we all agree on this topic. So we are bobbleheading it up on this one. I agree. I think it's interesting that Jenna Ortega has, I mentioned this in the pre-show, been almost typecast. Not necessarily because, we have roles, like she's a big part of Scream. She is, maybe with her and forgive me, I can't remember the actress's name, but the character who plays her older sister, Sam, is almost like they kind of share the Neve Campbell Sydney role. Like, depending on who you resonate with more, you might say one of them's I think Sam was the lead in Scream 5, but it feels more like Jenna Ortega's character is kind of the lead in the most recent one, Scream 6. So she does have some range, but you talked about Wednesday, which I've only seen the first couple episodes, but I can confirm that she plays that role very well.
Good.
It's I think I was hooked. The very first line of dialogue from her was like, okay, they got this character, and she
Nice.
gets the character. So I liked that. But when it comes to these dark roles, I mentioned that there was the award ceremony with Aubrey Plaza where they came up. She's like, I have no idea why they put us up here together. And they both did their dark, sarcastic, slow delivery kind of thing. And it just seems that if you're going to have that weird, quirky female lead with that kind of fits any of those aesthetics, it feels like she is going to be the number one for that. Like, what's Moff Gideon's actor's name? Gus Fring is what I feel like everyone just calls him Gus Fring now. Giancarlo
Esposito.
Because he's been typecast because he's so good at that.
Oh.
Somehow
well,
he
yeah.
even plays the same character in Far Cry, it seems. So,
Right.
Well, I want to say they literally wrote that character that way.
And
to
that's
get him.
What's going to happen for her, I think, as well. You'll have more characters written for her because she's so good at this shtick. But go on, sorry.
And it's funny because, like, with Aubrey Plaza, that's the complete opposite of her actual personality. She modeled that after her, like, real life sister for Parks and Rec.
Which is fun. There are so many
love
good
her character.
tidbits about Parks and Rec. And
Right.
how many characters built careers off of those side character roles there. It just makes it even funnier when because there is at least a couple of episodes. At the very least, there's one where April has a sister, and you get to
I remember that one. I think Ron went over to her house to go and talk to her about something, like she had quit or something like that.
Yeah, he had to convince Zuzu not to quit.
And that's when she was like, "I know you're Duke Silver."
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. I remember that.
Spoiler
Tunes,
alert!
man.
Sorry.
That Duke Silver Funko Pop is fucking awesome.
Just another reason Ron Swanson's my hero. Not this audience may not know about my saxophone playing, but yeah, got a guy who loves Bobby Knight and can play the saxophone. I mean, sign me up. Yeah.
You're Soul Brothers.
Really were Soul
None of a
Brothers. And so we'll keep an eye out for that. We'll be on the lookout for a trailer, and I'm certain that that's something that we'll watch and talk about when it does come out. But something that we did watch and at least I am very excited to talk about. I caught this a second time. I managed to catch it yesterday. I didn't get to watch it with the two of you, but I did fit a second viewing of The Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Now, I want to ask you first, Lou, should we just go full spoilers from the get-go?
I'm gonna spoil shit. I know you didn't ask me.
There
That's
it
my
is.
answer.
Spoiler alert. Full spoilers. If you want a non-spoiler review of this, I will plug our other show on this very channel, Critical, where I did a first take fresh from the parking lot of the movie theater.
Damn.
Immediately walked out, gave you a
That's farm to
spoiler-free
table.
take.
That's commitment.
Yeah, so check that out, and we'll be doing a deep dive later right here on this very channel, dDweeb. So make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you don't miss that. But this is where we get to converse about it and talk theories and all kinds of good stuff. So
Open the fucking door.
Oh my god. So fantastic.
So good.
I was so thrown off, but in the best way. Like, I was like, no, okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
that was one of the things I had spoiled for me. Was that this was the first Marvel movie with the hard F.
Mm-hmm. Without the clever cut.
Right. And this is the other thing that was spoiled for me, sorry, is that Drax was toned down. That he was more Drax Volume 1 as opposed to 2, which
The D. Flanders.
I was
so
happy
excited.
about that.
Yes.
He was a bit much in 2.
He was
And in other
kind of
like
hilarious, though.
what was it? Because it wasn't in 2. Was it? What's the movie where he's invisible while he's slowly
2.
eating his Zarg nut? Was that in 2?
2.
Okay.
Because that Gamora was there.
Yeah.
And they're
that's
standing
right,
on
so
the
it had to
fucking
be
ship,
2.
and they're
Yeah.
looking at him like he's...
My movements
What?
are so slow.
Right? So, yeah. I was... and not in just that, but the his back and forth with Mantis was so fucking cringe in 2.
Mm. And they had some of that too. Well, at least what they did, I think, was they finally gave some of that characterization like a meaning,
Mhm.
right? So it had importance, it brought value. So him being that dummy paid off with and we're jumping right to the end with the spoilers, but it paid off with the kids.
Right.
And then him knowing that language, which was, I don't know, there are little bits of James Gunn here in this. Overall, I will just say, let me say before, because in order to be fair and balanced, we will nitpick, or at least I will. I wouldn't be me if I couldn't nitpick the shit out of this thing, but I loved it, to be fair. I want that to be out front.
Absolutely loved it.
Loved it. Think this is
Same.
the best trilogy of the Marvel trilogies.
Easily.
I still don't think this was the best Guardians movie, in my opinion. I still would take the first one over this one. But I still think it was great. But there are little James Gunn moments where he has his bits and he plays them, and sometimes he plays them, in my opinion, too many times. Like like what you just mentioned, and also for me, there are too many music video scenes. Sometimes it's like compose the music in your scene. Not everything has to be a music video. Go ahead.
Can I take a moment?
Mm-hmm.
Just work my little claw machine over here. Pick a nugget out of your brain for an example.
Yeah, go for it.
Bad dog.
Oh my gosh.
As soon as he said that, I knew that was going to be a reoccurring fucking joke.
Yeah.
I got kind of tired of that, to be honest, after a little
And
bit.
I knew that the dog was going to do some, like, ridiculously awesome shit, and he was going to be like, good dog.
She's a good dog.
I kind of hated him every time he called her a bad dog. I was like, dude, you're abusive, man. Fuck you. Like,
Right.
Well, and to be fair, I got the idea that they kind of quibbed each other. That they, had that almost sibling-like relationship.
Yeah, because she immediately says, like, I know you don't believe I'm a bad dog. And
brings
so,
up examples of their friendship.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Like, yeah.
I got tired of it myself.
Yeah.
I'm probably the only one.
But I knew as soon as it happened what was going to happen. Its echo was too loud for me to miss.
Yeah, and there were a lot of those little moments. Like I said, the thing that really got it for me, and there are certain songs like when they played Faith No More's "We Care a Lot." Like when that song started playing, it was a good thing there was no one. I strategically pick my movie viewing times when the cinema is going to be empty, so I can sit kind of alone, and it's good because I was moving. So there are certain songs where it's like, oh, that really connects with me. But the thing about using real music as opposed to moments that have been composed for your film is that we humans who enjoy that music, we have other memories that are tied to those songs. Mm-hmm. And in a way, it can pull you out of where you're supposed to be when you are constantly turning every action sequence into a music video instead of just keeping me immersed in your world. Like, I really loved No Sleep Till Brooklyn in a fight scene.
That was awesome.
It worked perfectly for me. That's also an example of, like, I have a lot of college memories tied to the Beastie Boys. So there were those times where it's like, I really love your song choice, but I'm not as engaged with what's going on in screen because you're drawing me away from it. So again, it was something, I think it's a great touch. It's part of James Gunn's feel, like that's part of his voice,
right?
But I feel like he bangs those drums too frequently, so that was something that I was like, you kind of overdid it with those, in my opinion. But
that's fair. So with the spoiler that I shared earlier that I had got with the
fucks,
yeah, so I thought it was going to get dropped when Rocket was singing Creep. I thought Rocket was going to be the one to do it.
Oh, in the song, like in the lyric?
Yeah.
So fucking special.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, that was another example. The music stuff is cool, but it became it almost felt so forced, like, and it makes sense with the characters, I guess, that right before their biggest battle, Quill is by himself with earphones plugged in listening to music instead of but it started to feel like they had to continue to find ways to work, like you've got the Zune plugged in to the nowhere, so that the entire city,
not ship, sorry.
Yeah, so that the entire city's listening to Creep
wondered.
with you. Like, that shit's weird, it's too much.
I was like, damn, they got Bluetooth. Like, I didn't know they had that there. Like, okay.
Right?
Some of that Earth technology they brought with them.
Yeah, they must have gone back.
Yeah, because
Kevin Bacon brought it with it.
Yes,
or brought it with him.
They stole Kevin Bacon's Bluetooth speaker and Rocket re-engineered it. Yes. That's headcanon forever now.
Remember when Gamora and Nebula were like, Gamora's all like, what the fuck are you doing for that rabbit? Or whatever she called Rocket. And she was like, half of my fucking upgrades are from him.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
We're saving this dude.
Yep.
I actually just want to throw out here now before I forget, Nebula's love for Rocket in this movie was very touching.
Yeah.
Like, when she found out that Rocket was spoiler to the max, by the way, that Rocket was okay, and she like put her hand over her mouth and she was just overcome with emotion. Like, I was like, Nebula has made leaps in bounds
Character
in
growth.
character growth. Yeah, it was impressive.
And it's easy to forget for us, because I completely agree, but they spent 5 years together as the only two remaining Guardians, right? They were they were the two that were together, so they have a bond stronger than
that's
anyone.
fair. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, because you
I'm
have
sorry.
to remember. So remember in the end credit roll, Rocket and Groot were standing next to Thor.
Uh-huh.
You think Rocket didn't run around Wakanda looking at their tech? Or run around fucking Tony's shit looking at his tech? Tony wasn't even fucking there.
Rocket is very smart, and we learned a lot of that in this
Right.
movie. It was one of my favorite aspects of the movie, was learning so much about Rocket.
Right.
The final
And
reveal
Lila.
that he was the secret protagonist all along, which is, and that's, you talk about, we nitpicked some of James Gunn's flaws. Let's talk about what he's done a phenomenal job with, and that's what you've already alluded to, all this character work.
Yeah.
We're talking about a guy who had one of his leads killed in a film that's not his to service someone else's plot, which he very, not so subtly jabbed at several times, I believe. And honestly, I think, looking back on it now, I think maybe having Nebula gift Rocket Bucky's arm in the Christmas special might have been a little, you fuck me, I'll fuck you kind of thing. Like, good luck to the Captain America writer. Now you have to explain this, you asshole. Like, thanks for killing Gamora, you pricks.
Right.
But he did such a great job working with what he hadn't made, and getting it to work. So, like we talked about with like the Nebula's character growth with Quill and Gamora, I know a lot of people, I think, wanted them to come back together. I might have been one of them. I didn't really have a preference, but I knew she was out there. I knew it was a possibility. I wouldn't have hated it. I like this more. I think what he gave, it sets things up for the potential legendary Star-Lord, which means maybe that Kitty Pryde relationship maybe happens. So it sets him up for future love interests that he's had in comics, but also it's just sort of like, it gives us some finality, because in a movie we all expected at least one of these Guardians to die. Maybe not all of us, but I did.
I thought, yeah.
They made it sound like someone was going to die.
They did. They really fucking did. And they got me on Rocket. But I thought he was safe.
I thought it was gonna be Drax the whole. I honestly, because that's a guy we knew
was out.
He was done. Yeah.
Yeah. And and so did Gamora. Actually, say that, or not Gamora, but Zoe.
She has all but begged to be recasted. At
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah. Which you can't blame her. When you're attached to these multi-picture deals,
and it's full body. Like, people don't understand how much work goes. We're talking about 4 hours of your day every day being painted up to look a certain way. Like, that's a lot of time just sitting in a chair, not being allowed to move. It's the same reason. And then
you got to take it off.
Yeah, and then with Batista, there's the body as well. Like, that's why they started putting him in more suits and not making him be shirtless all the time, because he's an older man now, and it's not going to be able to keep up with that. Which I would imagine we'll see Drax again, I bet, because the one thing about Dave Bautista is he's a wrestler, and the one thing that every former wrestler has ever done is come back for a big paycheck. So
Vin Diesel.
And Vin Diesel, yes, right. So Dave Bautista, you may see, like, he will be covered. He might even have frickin' gloves on. Like, he is going to completely limit. I don't know if you've noticed, but even the markings on his face have gotten smaller over time. Like, the makeup has gotten less and less over time.
That's fair,
He'll be back.
I just want to approach the fact that there is no way your skin is okay after that all the time. The only reason their skin looks okay when they go out is likely because of expensive ass shit that they have to use.
So remoisturizing their skin and everything.
It's not breathing. I don't understand how they do that every day. I hope they get big breaks in between wearing those, but because that does suck. I'm really surprised that is the chick that plays Nebula. Yeah, I think that was it was toxic It was toxic in The Wizard of Oz, too, on the Tin Man.
Yeah.
I think they had to...
Like lead-based paint or something wild like that.
Yeah, he
asbestos snow.
Bad reaction or something.
Yeah, and one of them almost did die because they used that silver paint on him.
Yeah, the Tin Man.
Yeah.
The Wizard of Oz.
Well, so what happens is, like, you have to find a breathable thing to use for the makeup. Mm-hmm. That wasn't what they used, unfortunately. And the Bond girl died because her skin suffocated.
Yeah, she was
because she was painted in gold.
Wow, I didn't know any of this.
Yeah, and Goldfinger.
I think I heard about the Tin Man
it's
thing,
changed since then, obviously, but I still don't imagine that it's great for your skin.
No,
like that's just got to suck. Like your skin's got to feel like it's just suffocating underneath all that prosthetic.
Right. You know, and like the attachments that like Nebula would have to wear.
Hers looked more painted on this time, so I'm hoping that she got a reduction in what she had to put on too, because that's a lot.
Right. Well, I think
really done up.
I think the woman who plays Nebula wears a bald cap for that suit too.
Most likely.
So yeah,
she was in Jumanji.
Which also that has to suck ass too.
Yeah,
wearing a bald cap, those things are fucking hot as shit. It's basically like a fucking swimmer's cap.
Yeah.
But it's like latex, so they can like paint over it and shit with the designs, or like attach the wig and stuff. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just wondering if she has to keep her hair short or something, because I can't imagine how all that hair goes up under there and still looks normal. Like it doesn't look like you have a mega mind.
Right. Yeah, and it could be they could edit it out, but yeah, you're probably right. They're probably doing something like that. That's what I would do, to be honest. If you're getting paid enough to have a haircut that you don't love while you're filming, you know.
I mean, Charlize Theron shaved her head for what was that?
Mad Max Fury Road.
Fury Road.
Great movie.
Yeah, so did Demi Moore for G.I. Jane.
Another good one.
I've never seen G.I.
Jane either.
I don't know how much it holds up. It was it was one of the movies that my mom had in our. You remember those? Back in the day, they had these swivel stands. It reminds you of something you would see at a convenience store.
VHS tapes.
But it had VHS tape. Ours had VHS tape on one side and the CD collection on the other side.
I remember seeing those too.
Yeah. So I just remember my mom was very big on. So her movie collection was all just like strong female leads. So like she had every Julia Roberts movie, and then because that was her favorite. But then everything else was just like. Yeah, G.I. Jane. And then for some reason, Misery, which, we won't talk about that. That might not, it's a non sequitur. But
Kathy Bates. Isn't that her name?
Yeah.
I thought it was
Kathy
is it Bates?
Bates. Sorry, yeah, Bates.
Kathy Bates, yeah. My bad.
No, good. I imagined Jason Bateman as the secret love child of Kathy Bates. And I was like, that's a talented family right there, brother.
Jesus Christ.
Another talented family is Nebula and Gamora, though. But so as we were talking about, they didn't kill off anybody like we thought they were going to do.
Well, and real quick, they got me. Because then when, at the end, where Peter doesn't quite jump hard enough and hits that floating debris and it stops him dead ass.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be the one that died. Because how much of a fucking hard pump fake would that shit be?
I think if he wasn't part god, he would have died, to be honest. That just doesn't... My brain does not understand how he's still alive.
So allegedly because Ego's dead, his power isn't there anymore.
Yeah, it frustrates me, which means he should be dead.
He probably should be.
Yeah.
Because
when you get to the point where your face expands like that, like you're dead. Like you're already dead.
Yeah.
I hated that. That was one of the things that I thought it flattened the end. I loved everything up.
Right.
But it's like if you're going to do it, commit to it. For me, it was the same as Star Wars, spoiler here, when they blew up the Chewbacca ship and then 30 seconds later they showed you, there were two ships and actually Chewbacca's alive. It's kind of like a screw you, man, because like you want the impact of
the death of this character,
but then you're like, just kidding,
Yeah,
and it's already a movie series that doesn't want to kill people off. They've already Infinity Stoned half their characters back. Like, nothing's
Right.
ever final, so that part frustrated me, but that's why I liked I did like this ending, because it did hopefully provide some closure in a sense, even though it didn't give us which I don't, it's weird to say that I'm like, it's no one died and that's a negative part, but like we're talking about a movie franchise that really, like, since Endgame, just, you know, that there just hasn't been a lot, like, the stakes don't feel real at times in some of these movies.
And also, when you look at how well received and how well done each of the movies were, it was such a build up to this point. Like we said earlier, it's easily the best trilogy. And it how the fuck did this man pull this wizardry to make you go from tears of sadness to tears of joy in like 2 seconds?
Yeah, they did hit. There were a lot of moments, which again, yeah, that's the touch there. Like, the characters above any other, right? I think in the MCU, they just they really felt like family, and that's what the cool, like, the part that I love the most, I think. So it's a combination of two things. It's the one-shot hallway fight scene where it feels like you're part of the Guardians because it's all happening around you. You're like there. And then they combine that with you understanding Groot for the first time, which, because that's how I took it. I believe that's how it was meant to be taken, was that we viewers now, or maybe the second time.
Yeah, because you said we are Groot.
We are Groot.
But it wasn't like,
this is a full on, like he said, I love you guys, which is, to me, that was it was a great little bookend of, like, you know, because it's been a running joke of people not being able to, and for the whole time, us as an audience, we haven't been able to understand him. And so that was such a nice touch. And yeah, it just goes to show, it's, you mentioned it. Yeah, you go from tears of sadness, tears of joy. They did a great job with the two timelines, right? Like, they cut back. Like, Kelsey, what did you think about the rocket flashbacks, essentially? You know, how they kept going back. It felt like they almost went scene by scene sometimes, but they gave us a lot of his backstory. What did you think?
I liked getting the backstory. It created even more empathy for Rocket for me than ever before, and I already felt bad for him. Like, he denied being a raccoon, so you know he's got an issue somewhere in there. Like, excuse me, he's got metal. Like, you could tell he was fucked up. Like, he at some point was Logan. I mean, he was treated like Logan from the X-Men, and
the Etch treatment.
It was nice to find out. I mean, I'm a huge fan of origin stories, though.
Yeah.
So same. I really enjoyed that, but it was heartbreaking in those flashbacks, and it created it was really painful to watch him go through all that pain. But I enjoyed actually getting the story. It was good to understand him more. Yeah. So, because I think in the first one, he comes across as just this mangy little asshole raccoon who has problems with himself, obviously, like, and he runs around with a gun and a tree. Like, it was very, and he is in charge according to him, you know, like, and he just kind of, I mean, oddly enough, was more humanized throughout the series. So I really enjoyed that. It was like we got some closure for his character development. It was kind of a bummer to not get a whole lot of other character origins and stuff. Like, I kind of want to see more about, I don't know, Groot probably be boring, huh? I don't know what his origin story is in canon.
It would be interesting to tell it, right? Like, I wonder, because I don't really know it. The Guardians is as far as comics go, that wasn't something that I read on really at all.
Right.
So it was something, when the first movie came out, it kind of caught me by surprise, I think, because I wasn't expecting. I was like, this is weird. I kind of felt it at the moment. I was like, oh, Marvel's doing too much. Like, oh, they're going too far, man.
And that's what made it so remarkable, the success, because this wasn't even like the real iteration of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, this is like
this team was
reboot.
basically thrown together by James Gunn for the movies.
Oh, interesting. I had no idea on that.
Yeah, it's
Cosmo, fuck me. I think Rocket.
Was the Duck involved?
No.
Howard
the Duck wasn't.
Some of the Ravengers, like Sly Stallone's character, were like original Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's
What an odd twist. To
and
take
I
the
believe
movies.
Adam Warlock, maybe. Which again, that when we go back to our
'cause
dislikes, we'll talk about him.
Because in actual book canon, Adam Warlock is the character that was thrown to Earth, or comes down to Earth to warn about Thanos in the Infinity Stone stuff.
Yeah,
so
and
he
then
wasn't a total douche.
So
No.
in comic
he's
canon,
like a good, like a uber fucking good guy.
Adam Warlock is basically like, so they repurposed him with Vision. So in the comics, that gem in his forehead is an Infinity Stone. I can't remember which one it is, but I don't think it was the Time Stone, but it might have been. But
yeah, because even in the books, the colors are different too, I think.
Yeah, it's wonky. Like
Yeah.
the whole. Thanos does his whole Infinity thing to please Mistress Death. Like they really adapted it in my best Spike Lee voice.
There were two
It's an
reasons he did it.
interpretation.
One was for death, and the other was for balance. So
Yeah, well, because that's the thing. There's multiple Infinity storylines as well. There's the Infinity Gauntlet, I think. But but Adam Warlock is big. Like he's the leader of the Resistance in, I believe, if not both, at least one of those. And at one point, he wields the Infinity Gauntlet in comics. So Adam Warlock was a character that, if I'm being honest, I felt like that character was done a huge disservice in this movie. He served the movie's purposes well enough, even though it kind of felt like he was just there to be able to save Peter at the end.
kind of.
He didn't. He's. I like the way they started things. Like he made sense to me early on, but then again, like it was. And they make up for it by saying he was pulled out of his cocoon early and all that stuff. But and I love the actor that played him, and it felt like such a miss to me. It was a swing and a miss, in my opinion. The Adam Warlock thing was a miss.
I think if we see him again, he'll be a much more true to character him. It's so. I took this screenshot from IMDb at like 12:02 today. Do you guys know the budget of the movie?
No, tell me. I mean, it's all green screen, so how big can it be?
$250 million.
Big
The estimated the estimated opening weekend, 118 million, 414,024 domestic.
Okay.
Worldwide gross 318,739,072.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's gonna make a killing, I would think. And some of it, I wonder if it would have done better had it not been for the recent run of MCU movies. Because although we hear, like, I mean, I won't speak for the two of you, but I didn't hate Quantumania. I think a lot of people did.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah,
I liked it too.
enjoyed it.
It's getting ready to come out on Blu-ray and shit next week, I think.
Very nice. Okay. But for whatever reason, the word on the street is that MCU's been down and that this movie has saved the MCU, which I think is a bit much. If anything, if that's your opinion, you should probably be kind of afraid because this guy's going to captain the opposing team now. So how could you think MCU is saved if the only movie you liked is by a guy who's now going to go run DC?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So James Gunn is going to DC.
Mm-hmm.
What about his brother Sean Gunn? Mm-hmm. You might know him as Quaglin.
Yeah.
The one who
finally
bad dog
play with his heart.
Right.
Liked his arc as well, which I won't take us down that tangent, but
that's fair.
In case I forget to mention it later, it was a good that was good. And keeping Yondu in the story. But yeah, so it's not just him. James Gunn is notorious for casting his friends and family, as are a lot of directors, because his wife was again in this movie. She was the head communicator at Orgo Corp.
Okay,
you can see I'm doing the hand signal because they had that little
organic
organic little ball thing. Yep, that was his wife.
Okay.
Okay.
If you noticed, the woman that Peter sweet talks in order to get the control over the Orgo Corp suits, that's the rat catcher from the most recent Suicide Squad.
Oh shit.
That's the same actress that played the rat catcher too.
Okay.
So he tends to bring his people along with him. So I think it is more than reasonable to think that his brother will now have a role in the DCU. However, I have a brother. I have a younger brother. I'm not James Gunn, but I will just say this. If I have a job over here and I want my brother to work with me and he can also get contracts to go work somewhere else and continue his work with them, I am never going to get in the way of that. So I cannot imagine that we will lose Quaglin at any point.
Well, so, he also, they work together when they direct. That's him. So I wonder if we'll start to see Sean Gunn direct Marvel shit. And then...
Interesting.
They'll both crib notes each other. Like, hey, what do you think about this?
Perhaps. I mean...
Either way, I just want DC to make better shit.
Same.
It doesn't make me happy to see DC fail. It makes me sad.
Same. Yeah.
Because I grew up in a house of both. DC and Marvel.
Likewise.
So I
just
need some fucking wins. And it's crazy that Peacemaker is one of the best things out of the DC universe right now.
Yeah, it was fuck. That guy cannot act.
Yeah, I was just about to say, especially considering it's being led by John Cena, who's not the worst wrestling actor, but
Mr. Cena, you have got to go and get some acting lessons, man. It's not okay.
I should show you the episode of Psych he's in.
No, I don't want to see it.
Oh, God.
Will you at least watch one episode of Peacemaker with me?
Oh, fine.
I still need to watch it,
after I have the baby so I can get drunk.
Yeah, there you go. That's fair. Yeah, because you've tried to get me to watch that, too, and I'm just like, at some point, I'm just not going to go out of my way to find it, because it's John Cena. And listen, I grew up a wrestling fan.
Right.
I still subject myself to one pay-per-view a month for the sake of being able to stay in the loop and talk about it for a podcast. But, I mean, the man wasn't a great actor as a wrestler, and the standards aren't high. When we talk about acting skill set, it's like porn, wrestling, television acting, movie acting. All right,
yeah.
And he wasn't great.
Hold on, you forgot Kirk Cameron in there.
Yeah,
somewhere.
and then Kirk Cameron.
And you forgot the I guess that's
the
television.
Christian movies.
Yeah, those are.
You forgot direct to movie too.
Yeah,
oh.
Yeah. See, Phil in there, but you see what I'm saying here. There's a tier here. There's a stack.
There's tiers,
and he's somewhere around the porn area.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
You guys ordered this pizza.
I think.
Oh, I mean my cock's in it.
5-knuckle shuffle. Oh my God, sorry.
It's just like, if you're gonna act and you're not going to expand what you could do by getting lessons and actually learning from them, then know your roles, stay in your lane, and play Drax. You don't get to be a lead character and expect us to take you seriously.
Yeah.
you get to be a lead character, and that's cool. Like, you can do whatever you want, but we don't have to take you seriously.
I think that's why he fits so well in Suicide Squad, because I agree with you, because he was, they even made the joke that he was just Idris Elba's character, and then he said, he's like, he just does everything that I do, and then John Cena was like, but better, you know?
Right.
When I see John Cena, I think, like, he should have embraced Dave Bautista. He should have embraced what Dave Bautista did with Drax, because what we've been able to see now that Dave has several movies under his belt, you go watch Knock at the Cabin, and you're like, oh, this dude can act a little bit. Like, he's not just a muscle dummy anymore. That movie Knock at the Cabin, he's got a soft delivery. He teaches kindergartners in the movie. So, like, he comes off as a believable teacher of children.
Fair.
But he's still Dave Bautista tattooed to the gills. And so you're like, wow, okay, you have grown. Now, and I say that because watching just if you've only seen Dave in Guardians, you will see some growth, but he still does he does plenty of goofy enough shit in this movie where you might not be able to see him as a real actor. You'd be like, oh, he's gotten better at being Drax. But the dude, in my opinion, while he's not leading man quality, he's an actor now. He's not just a wrestler that gets casted to play superheroes like most wrestlers do. John Cena is not at that place yet, and he got faster. He got even more a bigger speaking role than Dave Bautista ever had as Drax. He should have spent more time in the Drax role. Is all I'm saying.
That's fair. I agree completely. That's where I'm confused. Who gave him his own show? And how is it actually good? I don't believe any of you when you say it
actually is.
I don't believe
I bet there's a very strong supporting cast, is my bet.
I was disappointed in the second Suicide Squad because of Dave Bautista.
John Cena.
John Cena, I'm sorry. No, I do like
how'd you know it was
Bautista.
John Cena? You couldn't even see him.
My brain is not good with names even when I'm not pregnant. But yeah, I totally agree. I mean, and I'm glad Dave Bautista is, like, moving forward in his acting career and improving, and it sounds like he's learning, and that's great. I don't think John Cena has done that at all. I'm really disappointed he's in the new Fast and the Furious movie, because I think I'll probably see it at some point and just be like, oh, that's John Cena.
You're here again.
Yeah. It's like...
You again. I thought we got rid of you. Yeah. Yeah. Which it's weird, because in his wrestling thing, he's known as one of the hardest workers in the industry, so it's hard to picture him as somebody who's not working on his craft. But if he is working on his craft, that's almost worse. Right? Because then it's like, well, shit, if you are trying. I feel kind of
bad for what I'm saying. He'll never hear this, but if he does, sir, I'm sure you're a wonderful person.
Yeah, he also follows me on Twitter, so I really feel like a dick now. But, because see, he's such a charitable person. He'll even follow slappies like me on Twitter.
No, and that's legit. Sir. Like, that's one thing that I do respect him for, is his work with the Make-A-Wish Foundation and all the charitable things that he does, and his time that he goes out and sees people.
Yeah, like, you can do that a certain, like...
I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, you can do that like for the clout or for the attention, but you don't do it 600 times.
No, he's the one that's done it the most, right?
Yeah,
what you just said?
Yeah, he broke like the Rock's record or something like that.
I don't know whose record it is, but it'll be his for a long time.
Yeah,
because he still does it to this day.
Or maybe it was Stone Cold's
He was in the most recent WrestleMania. I doubt it was Stone Cold, but
well, he worked with him for years too, though. Stone Cold.
Fair enough.
Like, yeah, that's
they
how
were
my
just a
cousin
little
met
more
him.
serious about kayfabe back in the day. So like
fair.
the guy drinking beers, but John Cena in the most recent WrestleMania had 20-something Make-A-Wish kids out on the entrance with him for WrestleMania.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, the dude, never stops with that.
Everyone has their where they shine, right? And it sounds like as a person, he shines amazingly. I'm sorry, I keep running out of breath. I have no lungs anymore. They're all squished. So I'm just if you hear that, I'm sorry. But yeah, I think he sounds like he's a fantastic person. I just can't stand watching the man act. I'm so sorry, Mr. Cena.
You can't have it all. And plus, he's had like a 20-year wrestling career on top of it, so he'll be all right. He doesn't have to be a great actor. He could honestly retire and just go do Experian commercials for the rest of his life and be happy, because Vince McMahon will give him a check to come out of retirement once or twice a year, because
once every 5 years.
That. Yeah, they need that star power on that programming. So it's interesting. I love that we got on that little DC James Gunn tangent there. Was there anything else Guardians wise that you guys wanted to talk about? Because I know we have a horror double feature to get to here momentarily, but I didn't want to just move on past the Guardians without checking to see if there was anything else you wanted to talk about, like the post credit scenes.
That's right.
The legendary Star-Lord will return.
Right.
If you have any thoughts on that.
What was the one in the middle?
The middle one was the new Guardians team.
That's right.
With Rocket Captain, which, so I've heard. So I'll start by saying something. I hope that is the final Guardians of the Galaxy. I hope that there isn't a Guardians Volume 4, because even if they do reboot something with these new teams, I want it to be differentiated from that original trilogy, because that story, there's no way you can bring those characters back and send them off any better than you did.
Right.
In my personal opinion. And now, if you want to bring bits of them back, like have Star-Lord be in Secret Invasion or something like that, which I think makes a lot of sense, to just have him be in one of these bigger movies with the multiverse where Kang's pulling everybody from everywhere.
Right.
But I don't know that it would be wise to do another Guardians of the Galaxy movie, at least for another 8 years or something. Like,
give or take. You're going to need some breathing room between that. I think what would be really fun is a Invincible, like, cartoon Guardians.
Is it made by Sony? Because then you could really go Invincible style.
Aren't they doing like adult, like I'll call it Red Band for just simplicity's sake? Aren't they doing adult theme shows on Disney at all, or are they?
We had She-Hulk. I guess that was kind of adult.
Yeah,
because at a certain point,
people, according to the slander.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I would.
There was some pretty.
Because I think there's opportunity there. Like whether they use Fox for that vessel, right? Now that they own that, and they use that as their, this was how we'll slide the adult portions of the brand out under Fox instead of Disney, even though we own it all. I think Disney's going to be very foolish if they don't start catering some of this Marvel content to adults, because we're the reason there's nostalgia for it. You wouldn't be able to sell it to all these 9-year-olds if all their 9-year-olds didn't have parents that love this shit in the first place, right? There's a reason this nostalgia works. So at a certain point, like, it does benefit you, I think, to have stuff that's just for the parents, because you're going to continue to build that love with them. They're going to then go back and show their kids that if you're going to have like, not too many kids are going to go show their. Not too many parents are going to show their kids the Robert Pattinson Batman early on. No. But if you love it, it's going to invigorate your love of Batman, and you might sit down and watch the animated series with Junior, and then in the future be able to say, oh, you're finally old enough to understand the themes here. I can show this to you. So, yeah, I do think there's an audience there to do that Invincible style, more violent, and just keep it keep it away from the kids. Animation is not for children. I think we're not just for children, I should say. We're beyond that as a society, I think.
We're well beyond that.
We're well beyond that.
Disney just hasn't realized it, apparently.
And anime has really driven that. And I feel that doing that is also a very, very smart move, because that unlocks Marvel Max. It was still under Marvel Comics, but it was Marvel Max. And that's where you got, like, the Garth Ennis run of The Punisher.
Ooh, I see.
Where you're seeing F-bombs and shit, and people fucking dying, and, So, there was Daredevil Max. Jessica Jones, I think, had a Max series. And I think,
Nick Cage.
Yeah.
Luke Cage.
Luke Cage.
Yeah.
Sorry. Wrong.
Although
Totally.
I'd pay for that. I'd pay $5 a comic for a Nick
Defenders.
Cage Max.
Oh,
Yeah.
Defenders. The Defenders had a series. And
Oh,
the
so they had one as a
Defenders,
group too. Okay.
Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Jester Jones.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was Netflix. Those were Netflix
And
series.
so yeah, they all ended up as a Netflix series as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you can use that because Marvel Max comics were like written for adults,
Yeah.
so that unlocks that kind of content too.
Which I think they need to do. So yeah, I think that would be cool. And I'm torn because part of me wants to see Rocket as the leader of the Guardian. Like, I want to see that iteration. I want to see a lot more Adam Warlock because I do think, especially considering who they casted to play the role, that they can fix that. It doesn't, even though it didn't start great. That doesn't mean, to pull from another now Disney-owned franchise. Not a lot of people loved Yoda in his first appearance, right? Yoda gained a lot of favor along the way.
Right.
His first appearance, he was very Jar Jar Binksy.
Mm-hmm.
So they can come back from this. So I wouldn't mind seeing that.
I think with the time gap, they showed some level of him being a more competent character in the end credits scene.
Oh yeah, I feel the same way.
When they were like, when they were responding to that and working as a team and shit, he like seemed to have his wits about him.
Yeah, a lot more depth to his answer. That showed that, which I did like how they introduced the pet. I can't remember the pet's name, but how that was sort of a way to fast track his empathy, and you got to see him kind of turn into a conscious being in front of you over time.
It also, I mean, he is like super powered, almost beyond what we can even fathom. It takes Thanos having the Infinity Gauntlet to own him.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing that planet get destroyed like that and watching those people die, I don't care who the fuck you are, that's going to affect you.
Not to mention his mom was in front of him.
Right.
Yep. I think that hit him hard. I think that hit him really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, before I forget, I'm going to need that pet to be real or a stuffed animal and definitely come back.
Oh, yeah.
I know it's not going to be real.
They've
not
got
dumb,
their own
but...
little Grogu going on there with that guy.
Oh, that thing, every time I saw it, it was not quite as good as the morbid-ass ghost creature from Super Mario, but it was close. It was close.
There were two specific moments. The one, I think, where Gamora dodges Adam with Rocket after he rips War Pig's head off, and then she goes down and around. She pulls like the scream move, and she runs outside, and then runs back to the front to get it. And then the little dog's there, and it pees itself. And then the other one was at the very end of the hallway fight scene, right after Gamora cuts the leader of the whatever Hellspawn in half. Immediately the little dog jumps up to the bottom. It hasn't even fallen down yet, and he just like jumps onto it. And it's like, oh hey, we're done. I'm here. I helped.
I thought that was cute too.
Yeah.
Right.
Front and center.
Those are those little moments, where it's like, okay, I gave Gunn's quirk a little gruff earlier, but it's like when it works, it really works.
Right.
It's just one of those things. Sometimes he can go to the well one too many times, in my opinion. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a great movie. The ending, except for the Quill part, which I loved. The ingenuity, like the way he just still showed that he's quick on his feet like that. And I know a lot of people brought up, and I wanted to know your guys' thoughts on this. People brought up, why didn't he use his mask? He's literally flown through space in multiple movies wearing his Star-Lord mask, which, to refresh everyone,
that's right,
James Gunn got rid of in Guardians 2. It broke. Because that's why Yondu had to sacrifice himself. He had to give his spacesuit to Quill so that Quill could survive space, and Yondu flew him out of harm's way, and he perished. However, in Endgame or Infinity War, I can't remember, the Russos brought it back. Because if you remember, he's wearing the mask when he sees Gamora or Thanos for the first time. So he brings it back. So James Gunn on Twitter explained it away by saying that a drunken Peter Quill left the mask in his desk drawer on Nowhere because, you know, he kind of moved in a flash, which I think was a funny little tongue-in-cheek way of saying either A, I forgot about that because it wasn't in my movie, or B, like, I can't be bothered to remember everything that people do with my characters in movies that aren't mine. So I wanted to know what your thoughts were. Lou, did you have thoughts on that? Like, should he have used it? Are you okay with that explanation for why it wasn't used? Do you have any thoughts on it?
There's worse ways to do it. I mean, fuck it. I didn't even think about it until this fucking moment. Fuck. When you think about what happened, I mean, it's at least plausible. Because Adam Warlock shows up and he's like, oh, fuck, we need to save Rocket. He wasn't thinking about the shit he had on him.
Yeah.
He was rushing to the fucking ship. You know, I mean, he literally said, if we're not back in, like, how long, worry. Like, if we're not back in 48 hours, something bad.
It's supposed to be a little 2-day thing,
Yeah.
So I think it's fair enough. It wasn't something I actively thought about until it got brought up afterwards as well. I wasn't thinking like, oh, where's his mask? And then, you know, obviously I think the behind the scenes reason is that, well, it's Chris Pratt. It's the same reason that Iron Man, for some reason, when he's fighting the danger, you know, Iron Man, when he does the sacrifice plate, not wearing a mask. Spider-Man, and all these really super important moments in these movies are masked heroes or unmasked, which usually is because they're the goddamn movie star. They got paid $200 million to be in
or
the
they're
movie.
about to die.
They're the ones, you know, you want to see their face. The studio wants to see their face. So I think that probably could have been a behind-the-scenes reason for it. Like, that's why the mask kind of went away, because he's Chris Pratt movie star now, you know? He just...
Maybe.
Well, that's the money maker. But I think it works well enough. Of all the loopholes or whatever, I didn't have personally a big issue with it. I had more of an issue with him getting stuck with the debris and then Adam Warlock saving him. I'd have liked it a little bit better if they'd have just had him actually save Peter instead of waiting for his whole face to blow up. And like I said before, if the ice of space has gotten into your eyes, you're already dead. So it doesn't matter that Adam Warlock got there, and they did that weird little David God imagery thing where I was like,
oh my god, you caught that too?
Hell.
I was like, what the
so
fuck?
Corny, but whatever. Just get him.
So
back
Adam
on
Warlock's God. Calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
Maybe
James.
You know what? Okay, fuck it. Let's say this is what happened. He knew that Peter was their boy. He knew that Groot saved him.
Yep.
And so he knew he had to save him. So maybe Adam Warlock, brought him back from that point of death.
Oh, you think he...
yeah. Maybe him...
Saved him. Did it pull him
right. Maybe his energy affected Peter Quill's dormant god DNA. Because even though ego's not there, it doesn't mean that other species' energies wouldn't interact with it and charge him. Like Superman gets charged from our sun, but on Krypton, he's just Steve.
He's just, the
fucking file clerk.
Just a CPM.
Right.
Yep.
So, I mean, maybe there's something in that.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be, I'll take it. Like I said, overall, I enjoyed the movie. I would highly suggest seeing it in theaters. I look forward to watching it again.
Visually
on
stunning.
Stream. Yeah, because I have exhausted my movie theater trips. I don't think I'm going to go see it in theaters again, but it was well worth the trip. I enjoyed it. Any final thoughts there, Lou, about the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 or where it might lead the future MCU?
No.
Fair.
Because they were very detached in a very hard and real way.
There's another good thing.
They were only really intertwined in Endgame because they were connected to the Power Stone.
Yep.
Now, I do need to send out a very great shout out to the stranger who is sitting in the chair beside me, who held my hand during the scary and sad parts of the movie when Kelsey had to go to the restroom. He will always be a favorable person in my heart forever.
That's good.
Yeah, no, it was... What? So, we're walking in, because we went to Marcus, and I see on the TV that the seat that's beside us to the right is filled. And so I'm like, yeah, fuck that, dude. When I bought this seat, there was nobody in this theater. I'm not gonna let you fucking bully me out of the literal middle of the theater.
Oh, so someone was sitting in your seats.
No. They were sitting, like, so I bought the 2 seats that were, like, in the middle of the back, right?
Yeah.
Well, I did this, like, a week ago. Nobody else had bought seats yet.
Yeah.
So, they bought the seat right here. You know, usually, me and Kelsey switch off on which side we sit on.
Okay.
So, this dude was sitting here, and so I sit in the middle, because I know, like, how extremely triggering that is for anxiety.
I have a lot of anxiety. I can't.
So,
it's permanent. I don't know.
So I sit, I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to sit next to this dude. And when he got up, like, during the end of the trailers or something like that.
Yeah.
But, like, my point is, this motherfucker had to have bought the ticket well after I did.
So there was a seat in between you two? I'm very confused.
No, you know how they have the
there was
duo
just someone
seats?
sitting next to you?
Dude, you know how they have the tandem seats?
Yeah.
So we're in the 2 that are in the middle of the back, right?
Okay.
He bought the one, like, right next to me.
Instead of buying the one next to that, which would have
Like
given him
most
plenty of
normal
So it
room.
was
people would
still
do.
a pretty empty theater is what you're saying.
Right.
Yes.
Got it. Okay,
And-
okay.
Right.
Instead
Got
of
it.
buying a buffer seat, he bought a...
Yeah, why would you... Yeah.
Right?
Is it
Interesting.
weird to think that's weird? Because, like...
Is it weird that...
I think if maybe he bought the seat thinking that it would fill up, but knowing that you guys went at noon, it is kind of weird.
That is weird, right?
Because he could have just bought a normal seat that... Because so what I do a lot of times is I will buy like the 3rd seat in from the very end of whatever row I want to sit on, knowing that if those middle seats don't fill up by the end of the previews, that I'm going to scoot in a few seats. But also knowing that if it is a popular film, I don't want to sit by people, so I'd rather have a weird, awkward corner view than be sitting by a bunch of people. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll sit here, and then if it is empty, I'll get to move. Otherwise,
Right.
I'm just kind of stuck. And so yeah, that's what I would have done. I think it is weird to buy a seat right next to somebody.
Like, you already
So I
know
would
somebody
not have done
bought that seat.
There was no one else in that row either. It was
That's
just
so
really
weird.
weird.
And especially if you bought it, like, as you walked in.
That would
Like-
be, yeah.
Yeah. So
Maybe he was hoping it would be like 2 women.
maybe.
Yeah, I don't know with that one. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe thought it was going to be a pickup scene. I have no idea. Or maybe he was hoping you guys would be wearing a certain t-shirt and then he'd be like,
Maybe.
I'm going to talk to you about this one character all day. I have no idea. Even when I'm like, that's one of the reasons I don't go to movies in groups. Like,
That's
I'll
fair.
do it. Like, there will be occasions
Yeah.
where we've gone with friends before, but for the most part, like, I don't try to plan it and go because it's the last place I want to have a conversation. If I want to hang out with
Right.
my friends, I want to hang out with my friends. If I
Right.
want to watch
And bring
a movie,
them with me.
I want you to not talk to me for 2 hours while I watch
It
this
gets
movie.
better. It gets better. So as I sit down next to this person, they visually get uncomfortable.
Yeah. It looked like they were uncomfortable. Like, they were not expecting anyone to sit next to them. It was like you could feel them. I could see them tense up, and it was like I could feel this tenseness in
that's
the air.
also like the point of like, why did you even buy that seat when you clearly bought your tickets after I bought these two?
Yeah, that's where it gets weird. Yeah,
Some people are just weird.
they very much are. Yeah, I think they were probably hoping that you would be the ones
Or
who
be
got
no-shows,
awkward.
maybe?
Yeah, either be no shows or that if he got there first, you guys would want, because so many people count on that
Yeah.
people are averse to any sort of confrontation, and that, you know, they'll just let
I'll admit it.
let you have their way, right? A lot of people think like, oh, no
I
one's
was
going to stand
I
up
was
to me
not.
on this.
I even told her when we left. I was like, no, I wasn't going to let him bully me out of that fucking seat.
Yeah, no way. Yeah, if you want to sit next to me in
All
this
right,
empty ass theater,
we're about to watch this fucking movie.
have fun,
right
buddy.
next to each other, because
Yeah.
this is the motherfucking seat I paid for.
I paid
Those
for
seats
this
are
seat.
oddly close to each other, but movie theater seats always were.
Always are. At
Always
least
were.
they're because it was the HDX or
Mm.
whatever, like the DLX, the big main screen that's behind the concessions.
Okay,
So it's like the
the
fucking
big one.
yeah. Like, dude,
So
I didn't
even
pay the
even
extra.
weirder to sit.
I didn't pay the extra money on discount day to not get the middle seat, son.
Right? Yeah. It's like, come on, man. I deserve to be here. Well, that, I think, will probably put a bow on our Guardians 3 combo, right?
Yeah.
We've got, I mean, there's probably more to say. I know I'll spend some time putting together some thoughts, and we'll do another deep dive at some point. I want to go back and watch the first two again. It's been
Yeah.
a long time. But you guys caught some of my favorite, I guess we'll call them horror movies. I don't, it kind of depends on
Suspense more,
definitely
maybe?
suspense, some thrillers. So I'll let you pick the order, but you
Thriller,
watched a couple
thriller.
of Jordan Peele films
Yeah.
since our last recording. So tell the folks what you watched and which one you want to talk about first.
You want to do it alphabetically?
Sure. I mean, we saw
Say that
Get
like
Out.
it's, yeah. We saw like it's a list. We saw Get Out and Us.
And Us, and they were both pretty amazing films. With, I don't know, it was like not an M. Night Shyamalan feel to it, but it was more intense, in my opinion.
It was a very much almost like a Twilight Zone
Yes,
effect
I could feel
of like multiversity in a prison. You know, like with it, like that finite spot where worlds collide.
and definitely had some social awareness that it was trying to bring, and did a great job of bringing as well.
Brilliant.
Pretty incredible movies. I think I liked Get Out a bit more than Us. Which,
Okay.
did you have a favorite?
So, if I had to pick a favorite, I would probably say Nope.
That wasn't in the list.
Oh, you mean out of these two? I thought
Yeah,
you meant out of
these
like
two.
the three of his movies we saw.
Oh, well, yeah, I know we've seen Nope, and I enjoyed that one as well, but I guess Get Out would still probably be my favorite out of the three, so that's fair. That's fair.
Get Out was really fucking good. It's that whole body snatching thing that's just like, fuck.
Yeah.
That's a very,
It was like a Stepford Wives feel for me,
yeah. But
it-
yeah.
but creepier.
Yeah.
Like, not funny. It
No.
wasn't funny.
No, except for the little, they tried, it was weird. The little moments of comedy they tried to sneak in, like when the guy's dad was like, I'd have voted for Obama a third time if I could, or the girl's dad. And I'm just,
Yeah.
That was so cringy to me. It
It
hurt.
was so, but that's what
It
made it
hurt.
hilarious because
I couldn't laugh.
how many times
oh, no.
how many black boyfriends were brought home and had to hear that? Like I get it. You're cool, dude.
Right, exactly. Which was like that whole
you can just
family's
tell me you're cool by
aesthetic
being
of-
nice, right?
Yeah. Like that they were so woke or whatever, for lack
Right.
of a better term, but the reality was not at all that.
And it like, man, because like what the real mind fuck for me in the movie was the like you moment, right? Where he finds her fucking memory box.
Oh God, that
Of-
was creepy.
All the different men she's pretty much abducted.
Which is so weird. Like it's a thing that killers do. So I can't pretend like it's just some
Right.
She's a fucking
contrived
psycho.
thing. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, exactly. She's
Well,
a
and
psycho.
it's-
Like they have these,
and it's like
treasure
a modern day
boxes.
slave
I gotta-
trade.
I gotta keep my trophies of
Yeah.
Yeah.
people I've killed. Like that's fucking weird, dude.
Dude,
Also, that's
it's-
how you get caught.
It's well, and it was like a modern day slave trade because when you think about what happened, like, so she gets these dudes to come, and they literally auction these people off.
I mean, not just dudes either. She
Yeah.
was, she experimented.
There was a girl, too.
Or was bisexual. One
Well,
or two.
and they probably have a man that goes out and seduces women.
Well,
And
she-
so, I mean, because, like, it was fucking nuts. And then they, like, take their body and own them it's fucking
Yeah,
weird,
weird.
man. It fucked with me too
they
much.
take over their bodies.
Right.
Like,
How did you guys like the ending of that movie?
I'm glad things turned out the way that they did, of
Yeah.
course.
Okay.
I was
Yeah.
surprised that things turned out the way that they did, but that was a comedic point, by the way,
Yeah.
when dude found him in the woods.
Because the original ending was what you probably were expecting to happen in that instance.
Okay.
Yeah, the original version, Jordan Peele actually, which I think would have been much more impactful, but I'm a dude who likes an ending that makes you... Like, The Mist is one of my favorite movies because it's so fucking heartbreaking, like, to know that they were that close.
Exactly.
And that's not the way the story ends
Have we
either.
seen
Like,
that? Have
No.
and, it's
we're gonna have to
fantastic.
watch
It's
that
such a
one.
tragic... Well, because I
It's
grew
really
up a
good.
huge Shakespeare fan as a kid, like, so I love a good tragedy. I love something
That's
that makes
fair.
you think, like, they were so close.
Right.
And if only this or that would have happened, it would have worked out differently. And so that's where I thought, although I'm not a sadist, so, I don't hate happy endings. So I was fine that the character got to get out of it free and everything was fine for him. I thought the message that he was trying to get across would have been so much more impactful if a real cop would have shown up in that exact moment and they would have just left us with the ambiguous ending of, oh God, a real cop just showed up and how's he going to explain this? But again, the world is dark enough on its own, so maybe having a happy ending to the story isn't the worst thing.
Right.
But there is part of me that is really yearning to see what the sad ending would have looked like. What it would have looked like with his original ending.
So
intact.
what would we have done different?
Instead of his friend being there, it's a cop. That's
Oh,
an
shit.
actual cop
and then
that
he's
shows
gonna
up.
arrest him for
And
killing all those people.
Potentially, yeah. So then it's just sort of an additional narrative, and then it becomes a bit of a Rorschach for the viewer, depending on, because if you end it at a certain point, you can leave it ambiguous as to does he get arrested for this or will the cop believe him? And
That's
Right.
fair.
and then it allows it to your own interpretation of
Mhm.
your own beliefs on the police and the justice
What you hope
system
and yeah.
what you hope and believe would happen to this person.
Right.
And that, I thought, again, like that's just a mic drop moment where you
Yeah.
just get to walk away and people will argue about the ending of your movie for years.
Mhm.
And
I think that sends a different message, though. I
Yeah.
wonder if that's why
Also,
he did
yes.
not keep that kind of ending, because it would have changed the moral of the story. You know what I mean?
yes,
Maybe.
100%. I agree with that.
But I do like that. That gives a different talking point, to say the least.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I thought I was really, really impressed by Get Out. It was so original in my mind.
Very.
Never seen anything like that before. So, but then again, Nope was very original.
Mm-hmm.
And Us.
Oh my
Us
god!
fucked with my head.
What did you guys think about Us? Because I've got some questions, especially since you've seen Get Out and you've seen Nope. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on Us, because it's in the chronologically it was in the middle, right? So we did Get Out first, then Us, then Nope. So what
that's
were your...
funny. We watched it. Nope.
Get Out.
Get Out. Then Us.
Yeah, but yeah.
I really liked Us. Out of the two that we watched recently, I think I liked Us more than Get Out.
Interesting. Okay.
Because of the duality of the, like, you had the two different societies existing above and below.
Mm-hmm.
I liked a lot of the symbology of that, as above at so below.
Yes, indeed.
Balance.
I thought it was fucking. Yeah, well, yeah, fuck you. So, I mean, it's not like this movie came out yesterday, but the big reveal of who the little girl really fucking is, and I should say who the mom is. Sorry, and what happened when she was a little girl and what she did to go up there.
Mm-hmm.
And why her other half had such a scratchy ass voice. Must have fucked up her vocal cords when she choked her out like that. Us fucked with my head so hard. Like, the contortions were rough to watch.
Oh my!
Like, there's just imagery that was hard. It, like, that stuff that just makes you uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like what's that effect that you get when something is too close to real but it's not real? Uncanny Valley.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's kind of like hits me like the Uncanny Valley effect when I see certain shit like that.
They look human, but they ain't moving like they human.
Yeah, the way they're moving and stuff, it really fucked with my head. But the storyline was amazing. The idea of it was very original. I never even thought about anything like that before. And never read anything like that before. So
yeah,
I really appreciate his style. Really do. I think he just needs to keep making fucking movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Yeah, I do love his style and his approach, because even talking about Nope, I was disappointed in theaters when I watched that movie the first time, mainly just because I felt that it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, based on the marketing material.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, even through that disappointment, I could tell that it was well done, and I remembered walking out of the theater thinking and saying to my buddy that I can't wait to go see that again now that my expectations have been reset. Now that I'm not going in wanting it to be something else and then being like, what the fuck is this, dude? Because this is not what I thought I was signing up for. And then it was so good. I really liked I love, I feel like Nope is a movie that I could sit here and we could talk about for 3 hours, to be honest. There's so many little things to unpack. So I do.
It's literally a craftsman example of how to do it.
Yeah.
It's an example of, like, fucking cinema. And I actually figured out that it was an alien before it came out. Because, like, in all of the promotions, the way they were looking up at, like, whatever was casting the shadow, I thought it was, like, extraterrestrial.
I did too, because the way
yeah, I thought it was a ship. Like, I just never thought it was organic, because that's the whole thing. Is like,
right?
That was okay. Yeah, that was a hell of a twist.
Like, it's I expect it to be an alien movie, not a kaiju movie. Is basically
expected it to be a UFO and not a creature.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And that's where I was like, oh, so it threw me, but at the same time, at the end of the day, became very appreciative. There's a lot that goes in when you look at the spectacle of animals. When you have that B story with the monkey and the TV show and how it relates to the main story. So I see that, and I see Get Out, and I think those are, you know, in my opinion, like you said, master classes. And for me, Us is like, it's somewhere in the middle. I like it. It's very creative, as you pointed out, Kelsey. It's a very original idea, and there are parts of it that I really love, and I love the cast. Is it Tim Heidecker? I can't remember. One of the guys from Tim and Eric Awesome Show is in that movie. I believe it's Tim.
Mm-hmm.
As the husband, maybe?
Yeah. And and then whoever was casted as the wife was also another talented actress. I can't
she
even.
Was in. Was she in Wakanda? Was she the one that was?
I can't even picture her face.
T'Challa's.
Oh yes. You're talking about the main family. I'm talking about the neighbor family that is like part of their victim. I'm talking about like the supporting cast.
I've seen her in something, but I couldn't tell you off.
Yeah, what's her name?
Moss.
Elizabeth Moss. Thank you. Mad Men
played Kitty Tyler.
That's right. Mad Men.
What's it called? Handmaid's.
That's
Tale.
right.
Yeah, Tim Heidecker.
I've never seen it before, but I've definitely seen the image of the. But yeah,
she's a phenomenal actress. Tim Heidecker is a very interesting choice in that because he's much from the sketch comedy Bob Odenkirk, like the weird comedy world. But,
right.
So they were in
early Adult Swim live action shit. Too.
Yeah.
So Tom Goes to the fucking Mayor and shit.
Oh god, good reference. I love Tom Goes to the Mayor. Way better in my opinion than Tim and Eric Awesome Show.
That shit was dumb as fuck. Tim and Eric or Tom Goes to the Mayor was just fucking hilarious. It had that dry wit to it.
Yeah, so good.
After that, it just fucking devolved into like, let's make shit for people who are on LSD.
Yep. And then we'll just get John C. Reilly to do the Dr. Steve Brule stuff, which was pretty good most of the time. But so I enjoyed it. I think, in my opinion, my ranking of the movies, which is funny because Nope was the one I liked the least after my first viewing experience. It's actually I go Nope is my favorite, then Get Out, then Us. So that's kind of how I rank them. But they're great movies, and I agree. Yeah, we need more Jordan Peele films out there. I look forward to seeing what he does. Just so much thought gets put into, when I going back to Nope, when I think about just whatever that Bible verse that he used, just there's deep imagery and symbolism in all of his stuff. Like you can tell there's so much heart and soul put into every project.
And thought.
Yeah.
He thinks there is such a level of just like brilliance poured into each scene, almost even each line, and each actual just frame of the shot, because he shows you what he wants you to fucking see, and he tells his fucking story.
Oh yeah.
I would love to either sit in a class of his for, you know what I mean? If you ever gave a class or like just like if I could pick his brain for like an hour, dude. Just to learn not like really learn his method, but just learn more about him, really.
Oh yeah, like if you just spoke at a panel at a Comic-Con, right? Like just to take notes. I probably wouldn't even get in line to ask a question because I'd rather be sitting in a seat with my notebook out, writing the answers to everyone else. Whatever questions anybody else thought up, I'll just take whatever answers he gives. That would be a good experience. Yeah, he definitely knows a lot about the craft. Hopefully, he puts something on Masterclass someday, and then
that'd be dope,
even though this is not sponsored, at least then that's accessible to everyone. We can all learn a few things from him. So.
They got some people they got deep cuts on people on that platform.
Dude, Masterclass is legit. They're not paying me to tell you this, but it's good. I highly suggest it. If you want some tips, I would also suggest if you're going to pay that much, download all the PDFs that come with the class. Like make sure you own those materials going forward. So that's how you know it's not sponsored. But, so some great movies there, and we are at the 90-minute mark for the episode. So as our little outro, we didn't get to talk much about, or at all about maybe the greatest literary and television work of all time, and that is the beloved cartoon that Kelsey sent us in the DMs. I can't even remember what it was called. Maybe Captain Zapto, right?
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
All I
That
know
sounds right.
is that
you know I'm not good with the names.
we
but
have
yeah.
the Captain of the Light Brigade. It's a children's
Captain of
cartoon based off of a comic book, and it is absolutely not a xenophobic cash grab of any kind.
Absolutely not. It's also
Well,
not at all
of course it's not
political.
xenophobic.
or
The team is
blasphemous.
multicultural.
It's also not completely obviously the product of a dude that hopes to have a love child with Trump.
Yeah, it's like if the My Pillow
Dude,
guy
right?
made a comic book.
Oh, gross.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's such as those are supposed to be pretty legit.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't buy one of those. Buy the cube pillows instead.
That's fair.
I don't know what dirt they have done yet. But yeah, so something we'll check out. I'm not going to pay any money for it, but there is...
no.
Now, this guy, I can't even remember the pastor's name. And you know what? For good measure, I'm not going to look it up because I don't even want to
Oh my God.
push any sales for this guy. But he runs with Kenneth Copeland, who we've talked about on this program and other programs before. He's that televangelist who surprisingly looks a lot like what you would imagine a demon looks like. And he owns a private jet and a multi-million-dollar house and somehow still needs the money of his poor and sick congregation because God would not want to see him have to fly coach. So it's this guy and the company that this guy keeps who has created a comic that is it's Donald Trump with a dump truck, by the way. Like, the dude's got cake,
that's
my
what
guy.
I said when I said that, saw that
He
shit
has got a
first.
juicy booty.
Yeah. The
I was like, look
artist,
at that cake.
the artist has reminded me a little bit of Kevin Spacey's neighbor in American Beauty. I think we got a little,
Yeah.
we got some closeted feelings going on in that art department.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Somebody wants to have a love child with that man.
Which,
for
hey,
some
we
reason.
for one here at this program are fully supportive of. You love whoever you want to love.
Except for that guy,
It's
man.
just
I don't
weird.
support that.
To
That's so
hate everyone
weird.
else.
So weird to hate yourself enough to love that guy.
Also, yes. But yeah, check that out. Look that up. You'll want to search up those visual representations for yourself. You're really going to want to see this
And the
cartoon.
hair.
The hair is on point. It's very obvious who this is trying to please. And then also, very interesting that the Trump stand-in is the leader of the Light Brigade.
Yeah.
So, listen... It's been a long time since I was indoctrinated into the Christian faith, but I do remember a lot of my teachings, a lot of my readings, and one of the many hats that Jesus of Nazareth wore was the leader of the commander-in-chief, as you might put it, of God's army.
Yeah.
So, essentially, what this comic/cartoon is saying is that Trump is Jesus. He is the Messiah. He is the leader of God's army. And that just tickles me all kinds of ways.
Yeah.
I just can't even fathom. The same guy, by the way, who just lost a rape case earlier this week.
$5 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Haha, fuck you, bruh.
Well, these are the same fucking jagoffs that were
Can't
running
defend
around
me,
saying
bro.
that, people think Obama's the Messiah. Nah, he's the Antichrist. They called him the Antichrist.
They also are the ones that probably started calling him the Messiah, because did we do that? I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, no matter the politician, if you ask me, I'm going to tell you they are closer to the Antichrist than the Messiah every time. That's just my personal opinion. I think anybody who wants that kind of power enough to be willing to fight through that horrible rat race that is American politics is by default not a good person, because you can't be a good person and want that kind of power over other people. So it's the very flaw of our current systems, is that the jobs that honestly, like, these positions should be positions that no one wants, and that if anything, it's a requirement as part of your duty.
Like getting
to do
jury
it for a year
duty.
or two. Exactly.
It should be like jury duty.
Yeah, it should be like, fuck, I really don't want to do this, but it's my duty. I have to
like
do it. And so I'm gonna
citizens
do it
of
the
a
best.
certain age are required to do this.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to get too Roman on it, but you know what? Maybe that's what we would have to do.
Well, it's because
term limits might not be enough.
it's because it would turn us more into a like authoritarian country.
Well, yeah, that wouldn't be good.
Mandatory government services, but yeah.
Yeah, but instead, let's just let the same 6 people just do insider trading and.
But you know what the good thing about that would
millionaires
be?
while fucking all of us over.
People that
This place is so
participate
fucking
would get free
depressing.
educations.
Yeah, there you go.
Like you would because so
See,
like
we got it all
if
here at
because
Dweeb.
you would have to include like I'm going to be eligible for this office. Well, it's time for the government to give me college to know what the fuck I'm doing so I don't fucking ruin everything.
Also, yes, that's probably a good point.
So
Yeah, could be a fair trade, but then, now you're talking about free college, and that's just you. I shudder at that thought. That's so un-American, brother.
right.
You socialist, jeez.
Yeah,
What was the joke in that? Oh my god, what was
you're gonna get free guns before you get free college.
Even in
Yeah.
Soviet Russia they have free healthcare.
And Soviet Russia.
Oh yeah, but I mean, shit. I don't know that I don't think I'd want their free healthcare.
Probably not.
Yeah, they're having a really hard time still. I feel so bad.
Poor
for them,
bastards.
actually, fuck. The world's fucked, y'all. But at least we have movies. Maybe that's what they want us to have. I don't know.
We'll always have escapism, and we'll be here to help you talk about that escapism and make it more important than it needs to be, because what the hell, we only have one trip around, we have multiple trips around the sun, but only one time on this earth, so I'm told. So let's make the most out of it,
Right.
have a ton of fun, and in order for you to be in the loop the next time we are here having some fun, you should like and subscribe. The like, I admit, is just for us. It really helps us to meet more people, but if you subscribe and turn those notifications on, you will be notified every time a new episode is posted, and you'll be notified 30 minutes before we go live on our YouTube channel, which is something that we do now and then. So to those of you who've listened, thank you so much for tuning in. We look forward to catching up with you next time. Lou, Kelsey, any parting words for the folks at home?
Remember, first Saturday in May every year is Free Comic Book Day. It's a great day to take the kids out to the local comic book shops, get some free books, and get down with the nerdiness.
We all love that.
Absolutely, and we'll need to catch up on my Free Comic Book Day haul. So again, look out for that. That's gonna show up on the channel. I don't know when, because I'm still reading all of these amazing comics that I pulled, but you'll want to be here for it, I'm sure. So thank you all so much. Thank you, Lou and Kelsey, as always, for
Thank
joining
you.
me. Love having you guys here. And listeners, we will see you next time. Until then, stay safe.
And open the fucking door.